Since my teenage years, I remember having a bitter attitude towards my birthdays because they signified another year of my life had passed. Now, as a 23-year-old guy, this feeling of time fleeting has only grown stronger, as every person I talk to in their 40s, 50s, and so on always has the same remark. It feels like just yesterday I was your age. I've been suffering from somewhat of a quarter-life crisis outlined by nihilism, depression, and loneliness. While my therapist has definitely been helping, as well as starting to meditate, I can't seem to shake off the thought that all my progress and memories will eventually have a definitive end. These feelings are exacerbated by my analytical, introspective, and logical nature. As a software engineer who relies on my thinking for my job, it's hard for me to draw the line between which thoughts of mine are helpful and which are detrimental to my well-being. I want to be like some of my friends who just live life and do what feels good. But it seems like I've been cursed to overthink things. Has anyone else dealt with similar struggles, and if so, what helped you? Story 1. Same experience for me. I have always been afraid of death, mostly the death of those around me rather than my own, though the latter is scary too. It got particularly bad in 2016 when I literally looked death in the face. I was alone with my grandfather when he took his last breath and slipped away. Watching his face sink and hearing the gasp literally traumatized me, and I had to go for therapy because I started to imagine how everyone's faces would look when their moment came. It is nothing like the movies. I had never seen anything like it. It was really socially debilitating and filled me with panic. Some days I still get really anxious and down about it, but you cannot fight the inevitable. The best you can do is make the most of your life and spend time with the people you care about. If you stress over the inevitable, you will drive yourself to an early grave, which is counterproductive and not at all fun. I imagine I am old and on my deathbed, looking back over my life and thinking about what I would regret not doing. Then I go and do that thing. Good luck. Be kind to yourself and lead the best life possible. Story 2. You are in a tough cycle because someone with your thought process will require a lot of work to change the way you think. The way that I cope with that idea is that I literally just put myself out there to do whatever I can. I know I will die one day, so I have to make the most of everything. Enjoy family time, enjoy time with friends. Make a mistake but laugh at it. Don't dwell on it. If your job is stressful, try to find a new one that isn't as stressful. Take time to eat well. Enjoy watching TV. Appreciate the little things because the little things mean a lot. Don't have huge expectations because they nearly always get knocked down. Try to make a memory with everything you do. There's something I won't do, like go on theme park rides because they scare me, but I'm happy to know that if I die today, I haven't missed out on that part of life because that never interests me. The fact that death is certain in life is something you just need to accept, and instead of worrying about it, do the things you want and have as many memories as you can to the point you can say, yeah, I've done enough. I am 22, 23 in May. I try to make the most of all the little things. I want nothing more than family time or going to the pub with my mates, and that's what keeps me happy and how I cope with the fact that I will die one day. So let's just enjoy the little things. Story 3. I received this insight from a friend when I mentioned the same thing, but you watch movies, right? You know they will end in 2 hours, so why do you watch them? Of course, to enjoy the movie. That's what you should do in your life too. Make the best of the limited time we all have. Still my motivation to keep moving and doing great things. Story 4. 50 years old here, so I'm closer to the end of the story than the beginning. I didn't get the kind of thoughts you describe until my dad died in 2007. Then it was like a tap on the shoulder. The party is going to end someday, and you're going to need to leave. That prompted a midlife crisis, which included the obligatory portion 9/11 and other midlife crisis activities. I read some philosophy, looked at various religions. I was a lukewarm Christian, but eventually decided that all religion is basically a you can live forever fairy story, and I landed on atheism. Once I got there, I got much more relaxed about the inevitability of death. Being dead doesn't scare me. Dying slowly in pain or neglect scares me, as does the idea of dementia, and I hope I have the means and capability to do something about it if things get that bad. So what changed for me? Once I accepted, and this is a personal thing, others will and should have different views, the inevitable, I did a reevaluation of my priorities. I have less time for people that are time wasters, nonsense talkers, and idiots. I don't need them in my life, and I don't give them any space anymore. Anything that annoys me or I don't like, I don't do. I made a bucket list and I'm ticking it off. I don't want the deathbed regret feeling, saying, I only wish I'd smoked that cigar on the beach in Cuba. I changed my job. I became pretty selfish about things that I enjoy and value. I gave up alcohol, and my longtime friends that associated me with drinking evaporated away. I feel better for it. Cleaner, less conflicted. I'm in pretty good health and live in the United Kingdom. My dad made it to 80, then died in 12 hours. I would sign up for that in a flash. I talk about my end-of-life preferences to my youngest son, and he knows where I'm coming from and going to. There is a saying, and it goes, there are only two certainties in life, death and taxes. That's not true. I know plenty of people that avoid taxes. Death is the only certainty. You are doing the right thing by thinking it through, understanding how you want to approach it, and getting comfortable with it. If you are religious, then get comfort from your faith and its beliefs. If not, read a bit of philosophy. When you get to my age, you are taking more and more from less and less. Enjoy a long, rich, and successful life. Smoke the cigar, kiss the person you love, watch the sunset, sing the song. Much love and best wishes. Story 5. I think two things helped me. I was struggling with my own mortality after my battle buddy in Iraq shot himself, and a few others got wounded, some mortally. Seeing your friends die at 19 just does not sit well for peaceful thoughts about the impermanence of life. Then I read this silly little quote somewhere that said, "You were dead for over 13 billion years. It didn't hurt, you weren't afraid, you just didn't exist yet." Next, I read this poem about having a physicist speak at your funeral. We're all made of literal stardust, changed and changed again, making up all life on the planet. When we die, we don't go anywhere. We stay right here and become the food that drives more life on this planet. Even if our sun goes supernova, our matter will be scattered, coalesce, form new planets, and eventually life will form elsewhere. Life is scary. I am aware of pain, loss, and fear. Being dead is the natural state of the universe. We will all return to it someday and face the peace of oblivion. If none of that helps, just know that whatever comes next, we're all in it together. You aren't going out alone. Story 6. If you know you will die, then make sure your life is meaningful and lived at its utmost potential. So when the time comes, you'll have no regrets. I'm 42, and yeah, your age was just yesterday. Edit. A word. Story 7. I went through a similar time around that age, and while I still go through tough times, like everyone, I am in a better stage now. What I have learned is that I am very much a thinking person, but just like everything else, it needs to be balanced. If I get too far into thinking, I end up in an endless rabbit hole like yourself, often overthinking things that may not happen or do not have an answer. I have learned that as complex and insignificant life may seem, I am meant to be here to experience and live it. If I were not, I would not be here. While I enjoy thinking and it is a big part of my life, I have also recognized the value in feeling and have introduced a variety of feeling-oriented habits and sports to focus me. Activities that force you to be in the moment, such as cycling, mountain biking, kiteboarding, rock climbing, hiking, and kayaking. It has added a lot to my life and actually helped with the thinking aspects of life too. Likewise, if I do too much of this, however, I get bored since I need to use my brain. The point I am making is, stop just thinking about things and go do something, and do them with other people. In addition to this, concentrate on appreciating what you are feeling, even if it is negative, because it is all useful towards your experience of life. It will teach you about yourself and the world, and you will be a stronger person for it. Think about the people you admire. They are often the ones who endured hardship and overcame it. Story 8. Holy crap. I was just thinking of asking this question. I am about to sleep, and I was thinking of how we are all going to die, how we will never be able to experience anything anymore. The idea of ceasing to exist is terrifying to me. Be strong, original poster, you aren't alone. Story 9. I copied this paragraph from a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and saved it in my Google Note. It's from the last chapter of the book called And Then You Die. I highly recommend you read it. Death is the only thing we can know with any certainty, and as such, it must be the compass by which we orient all of our other values and decisions. It is the correct answer to all of the questions we should ask but never do. The only way to be comfortable with death is to understand and see yourself as something bigger than yourself, to choose values that stretch beyond serving yourself, that are simple, immediate, controllable, and tolerant of the chaotic world around you. This is the basic root of all happiness. Story 10. I guess you just need to learn to accept it. What helps is not being alone. I had far more bad thoughts when I was single, spending days by myself. Another thing that helps is watching the movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It kind of puts life and death in a good perspective. It's just a natural cycle. It's just how it is. We just need to accept it. The movie was a great help to me, at least. Story 11. The difference between life and death is hazy, determined by simple failures in chemical reactions. Our existence has and always will depend upon its end. It's why we begin life fearing death as the end and gradually become more comfortable with it as life tires our bodies out. But life is your only time and one that should be used to the best of your ability. When you die, and you return to the elementary forms of the things that made up your components, you will not experience the near eternity of the time after you. Death is not really real to us because we'll never feel what it's like to be dead. Story 12. Wow. For me, it's the opposite. It's actually a great relief to know that I will die one day. Who wants to live forever? It's a very calming feeling to know that eventually there will be an end to everything. No more stress, pain, worry, disappointment, and so on. Story 13. What is death? If there is an afterlife, there is nothing for you to fear. Death is nothing but a trip. If there is no afterlife, you won't exist, so why fear it? Story 14. One of the side benefits of my decision to become a Christian was that my problems with nihilism vanished. My life on earth is short and temporary, and will end relatively soon. But I do not end, I just move on. Story 15. My problem fixed itself. I began to overthink the circumstances of my life and mortality to the point that it caused so much depression and anxiety that I cannot wait to die. Story 16. I don't know if this will be beneficial to you, but I know it is for me because I was in the same place not too long ago. I find that the more you think about something, the more obsessed you become with thinking about it. So you can try to force your mind to think about something else, something happier, and focus on what you can do and how you feel in the here and now. Talk to yourself in an affirmative way and think about what a blessing it is to be alive, even if for a short while. Cheers. Story 17. Whatever you do, don't use alcohol, drugs, or other mind-altering substances. I used to be like you around your age and got into alcohol, wasting 8 years drinking. Everything passes, including thoughts and moods. Give it time. Also, I suggest doing some creative things to express your feelings and experiences: poetry, composing music, painting, journaling, and so on. I'm a coder and I chose to chase business and money, but that was empty. It's best to live life day by day, connect with friends, humans, and other animals. Be kind and accept love. I was an atheist, but now I pray and meditate daily. It brings me down from my fantasy highs and centers me, keeping life simple. I guess what I've learned is that life is simple. It's so simple that for people like us, we can get frustrated that there isn't more. We need the complication, hence programming and nihilism. Yet life is simple. Look at a flower. Enjoy it. Do the same with each day. Just learn to enjoy it and let it go when it's time. Story 18. I'm in my mid-40s. When I was younger, in my 20s and full of angst, I read The Tao of Pooh. And for some reason, something really snapped for me to just live life and forget the noise. You'll see a lot of posts telling you to accomplish a lot, squeeze a lot out of life, etc. Whatever. Okay, go for it if it makes you happy. If not, don't beat yourself up over it. If accomplishment were the end goal, then the richest and more prolific would be the happiest they could be, and this is definitely not always the case. Or to squeeze in a ton of experiences by globetrotting, hiking, whatever. Again, if that floats your boat and you can afford it, then go for it. But I'm a firm believer in the set point theory of happiness, in that you have a baseline mood. You'll have highs and lows, but you have to move up your baseline to see a net gain. The baseline is the hardest thing to move because it takes a lot of sustained effort if you are going at it yourself. And you can attack it from many angles. But the good thing is you don't have to move boulders, you just start with the pebbles and sand, and it eventually shores up that baseline. It's not the one donut that kills you. It's not the 1 month at the gym that saves you. Just do little things if the big things seem insurmountable to add small net gains and remove things and people that cause constant net losses. Meditation, even just plain focusing on the breath for a few minutes a day every day, can turn into a baseline changing habit that lifts the whole boat. And what will inevitably happen is that you'll think, my mind still wanders, this is silly. But if you just push through and have a few more moments of focus, they will build. Persistence, even when things don't seem to be making a difference, is the key. And it doesn't matter what you do as long as it's what makes you a little happier or a little less irritated, mad, or depressed. Almost forgot your subject line. Why worry about dying? Everything conscious on Earth that we know about dies. Uncountable life forms before us. It's natural, but nothing would ever be accomplished if things didn't fight or fear death, so we've got a built-in, healthy by definition, phobia. And we miss the people who are gone, so it's good not everyone is checking out all at once, as that would make staffing your favorite food place tough. People worry about change and loss of ego, self, or consciousness. Change is inevitable. If death is simply a change of your conscious state or being, well, then you've probably done it countless times before. But what fun would it be to live and be aware of all that? How could you enjoy a book as much if you knew every detail and how it ended before you picked it up? And if the latter is the case, loss of ego or awareness, well, there's nothing left to care about. And that was that. But even being non-religious myself, I think that is unlikely. Yes, maybe what's the point is a human concept, so it could be dismissed that it's not a logical argument against oblivion. But I have to go with my human brain and ride the it would be pointless to not be since I am already train. And if someone's telling you after you die there's some horrible scene of shock and awe if you don't think a particular way, well, they're just selling you something. That's equally pointless and a late stage in religious development by institutionalized religion. Listen to Alan Watts if you have the time. That guy was awesome.